Welcome to Verbal Tap, episode 13. Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is easier from outside of the cage. For fans new to the show, welcome. My name is Kevin, and with me on the line, Raf Esparza. Raf, how you doing tonight?
Oh yeah, very good. Thank you for asking.
Love the enthusiasm, love the energy.
I'm so enthusiastic, and there's a reason for it. We're gonna get to it, but I am so just hyped.
Yeah, I'm gonna boldly call us the number one up-and-coming comedy MMA podcast. I'm
gonna second that.
Lock it in.
Yep.
We are locking that in. Lock it in noise.
Oh my god.
All right. If you think there is a better one out there, tweet us. We will challenge them to a duel, and we'll find out who the better comedy podcast is.
Yep.
Basically, the backstory is Raf and I love MMA, and like traditional straight hetero men, we exhibit our love through mockery and a little bit of testosterone-based affection. So with that, Raf, you ready to get started?
I am, man.
Will you ask me what I'm drinking before we proceed?
Sure. Kevin, would you be willing to share with us what you're drinking this evening?
I'm drinking a natural light beer.
What? Natty Light?
I'm pulling a Natty Light. So
Wow.
I want to appeal to the common MMA fans out there. I don't want them to think
God.
we're getting too highfalutin. I had some nice scotch. I had some red wine. I want to bring it back to the base so people feel I'm a man of the people, is what I'm saying.
I will say, I think we lost some listeners when you were drinking some red wine.
I thought about that too. It was like, I'm just having a Zima and a spritzer. I'm gonna have a little cocktail later. Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll keep it butch. So Natty Light tonight.
Why the Natty Light tonight, though?
We were playing Mario Kart drinking game last night, which is it combines my two passions for drunk driving and sitting on the couch.
Nice.
Have you played Mario Kart the drinking game?
No, I haven't. I actually have a life.
Oh, that's cute. You should try it.
It's not
It's
cute,
good times.
it's real.
You have to finish your beer before you finish the race. There's strategy involved. You can
that
only
does sound
play
really
4
fun.
rounds, basically. But you have to play with natural light. That's pretty much scary. So we're
I
gonna
love that.
go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I love that game was created by somebody going, man, we had a party and somebody brought all this shitty Natty Light that we got to get through. I know. Let's make a game to Mario Kart.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Yeah, that's exactly what we just go right for it. And for those that are not used to my outrageous sound effects, I've basically started I've learned it's really easy to bother Raf by using these weird sound effects I find on the internet. So that's basically the gist of that now.
Like, Kevin has no natural recourse for wit. Instead, now he's relying on a soundboard. You're
It's,
so effing stupid. I regret doing this podcast with you immediately.
You should have. That's why I waited till like episode 9 till you were pot committed to break out the sound effects. You gotta hide these things. Hey, that's a good relationship advice too. To those of you out there trying to form good, strong relationships, hide the weird things about you until your partner's a little too attached to duck out. That's just good.
Yep.
There's too much push for honesty now. You know what I'm talking about?
It is true. But you know what? To those who are still listening, because why wouldn't you be listening to Kevin's sound effects? Let's talk about the fact that you're great. We appreciate you listening to us. And you are so cool, unlike some of our friends who are coming up and telling us, hey, Raf and Kevin, oh my god, you guys are awesome. We love you. But we just hate MMA. We're just not going to listen because we don't like it.
I just don't care about MMA. It's like, oh, okay.
First of all, you're lucky that we still call you a friend.
Agreed.
Like, not liking MMA is pretty egregious. But we can get past that. And second, it doesn't mean you have to like MMA. Like, we'll like it for you, and we'll digest it and give you everything you need to know, so that way, when someone comes up to you, you feel at ease talking about it.
That's why you listen to the podcast. You don't have to
Right.
worry about MMA. We're going to worry about it. We're going to give you it in a funny... You might even take a joke. Continuing on the theme of dating advice, maybe you're going to date someone who is an MMA fan.
Exactly.
You fool. You want to have something interesting to say. You want to know what's going on. Well, we are the show that's going to teach you what's going on. That actually segues back into a good explanation. We're going to basically go through a list of topics. Raf's going to do his world-famous Ultimate Fighter, the show review, what's going on in TUF House 17. We're going to talk about the UFC fights on Fuel, Stan versus Silva, alliteration points to the UFC. Some funny videos that have been going out, a Hitler parody for Dana White, which was, some could call it over the line, but MMA fans are a little thicker in the skin. Spider vs. Bones in New York. Little Days of Our Dana. We have a shocking Overeem announcement. Before Raf and I talk about probably our favorite topic, the GSP Nick Diaz Jaws poster. You call it the Deep Blue Sea. That was better. It's Deep Blue Sea. It's the poster for Deep Blue Sea. And
they made Diaz a shark.
They made that should be the top. We should have started with that. That should have been like our top announcement. Nick Diaz is a fucking shark. You can't argue with it. So that's all you have to look forward to over the next hour. Let's start with yours, mine, everyone's favorite part of the show, the Ultimate Fighter review. Raf, how are you feeling this week? I'm going to do a little pre-event interview. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good. I've got my head on straight. I'm just going to come hard. I'm just going to say a lot of words, a lot of jokes. I'm hoping some will stick.
Definitely.
I'm hoping people don't hate me after it, but they probably will, and that's okay too.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get this party started. I would like to warn the audience. This is a 1-minute review of The Ultimate Fighter. So please fasten your seatbelts, because here we go.
Previously on The Ultimate Fighter, Josh made a list and is checking it twice. Uriah Hill still hates cooks, and Bubba won second place in his fight last week. Bubba starts the episode by putting the word pussy above the blacked out pick on the bracket wall, which is odd, because after his fight he won't be getting any, but he's earned the respect of Chael. Meanwhile, Josh is ready for a fight and wants everyone in the locker room to know that, wait, his opponent is named Thor? Someone make him the tiniest hammer you can muster. I'm pretty sure the Avengers action figure has a bigger hammer than Hat. John Jones walks by. Is that a toy? I want to see it. But Jimmy is on it and fashions a hammer worthy of the name Thor. You think these guys are bored yet? And sparring is all fun and games until someone gets jabbed in the face, hard. Turns out Jake is not really a fan of getting hit in the face, and Uriah goes hard 100% of the time, and maybe has a few things he needs to work out of his system. Thor says he's not fighting. He then works as a part-time teacher in Sweden, which means he works about a half hour a week. Chael. Thor's kind of under everyone's radar. In fact, I didn't even know he was here for the first 2 weeks. But does the mighty Thor have any weaknesses? Thor's biggest downfall is that he's nice and a gentleman. What's that? Back at the house, Josh is team dad, and no one ever asked for it. Clint, stop being so fat. Adam, you're cutting the onions all wrong. And for the last time, that's not how you cut a pair of short shorts. Hand me those scissors. Now these are short shorts. Josh Saman picks a pretty opportune time to admit he's had a few operations. My doctor said you might lose your leg. Now count backwards from 50. Apparently, Josh Saman has Dr. Nick as his healthcare specialist. Thanks, Obamacare. Josh, I was never allowed to watch anything violent as a kid, and look how I turned out. That Gilbert Smith, quite the instigator. Gilbert Smith has turned into the Jerry Springer of the group. Uriah Hall. Now, you guys are not going to get me in here to sit and talk about my team for more than 5 minutes. But that's it. You guys hear me? But it appears Uriah is a big Tupac fan because his favorite song seems to be "And They Wonder Why You Call It a Bitch." Where the hell did that come from? Since when does Uriah have beef with Adam Sella's girlfriend? Party foul. And our apologies to Adam Sella's girlfriend. That was completely unnecessary to be brought up in the episode. Chael, I am not a bowler, but I know how to bowl. John Jones hype man needs a raise and maybe a new catchphrase or two. You the champ. Discount double check. They're great. Ever notice at the minute 35 in the show, almost everyone seems to agree this is going to be a good fight? As Thor sleeps, we find out the guys may be good at making a fake hammer, but they draw pictures like a bunch of drunk 5-year-olds. Thor's dressing room reminds us the Gods of War is going to be out on March 12th. Chael, I want to know what your holes are, Thor, and today's going to be a good day. Nothing bad can possibly go wrong. Foreshadowing. Don't worry, if you don't win, I'm going to put you in as a wild card. Round 1, after a couple trip-ups by Josh, his footing then gets caught back up, and he charges at Thor. These fighters are pressed up against the cage, alternating position multiple times. A failed takedown attempt costs Josh a few punches to the face, but Josh looks calm on the ground. Josh then takes a great note from Freight Mir and traps Thor's arm in an unorthodox manner while up against the cage, and gets a nice barrage of shots to soften the Swede. Josh connects with a high left kick that goes in for the kill. A left hand catches Thor by surprise, while a clean right drops Thor like a sack of Swedish fish. Or whatever they eat there. Herb Dean wakes up Thor, and guess what? That Chael pre-fight steamroll wasn't so effective after all. Josh is on cloud 9 and thinks he's now the number 1 seed, while Chael tells us that the hammer dropped because he was too nice. That'll learn you. Next week, Clint versus Jimmy, and Josh goes in for surgery? Dana Dick teases the guys with Hooters, and Clint and Jimmy will get it on, and I'm spent.
Hey! Woo. Thank you, crowd, for coming in just for this one particular clap. That was great. Hey, Raf, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How long was that little 1-minute review you just did?
Do not worry, I timed it, because let's face it, the last time you timed it, you added on an extra 3 minutes. That
obviously
was egregious. But I timed it, and I can tell you with certainty that was 61 seconds.
Okay, that was 61 seconds. You're sure?
Yes. I am positive. I'm staring at my cell phone, and it says 61 on it right now.
Okay, well, argue with that then. All right, well, there's our ending to our clearly 61-second round.
Yep.
For those of you that are still listening, what's going on with some of this Twitter stuff? You upset a few of the fighters in the house last night. Well,
Oh, yeah, they don't enjoy me.
Some of them seem to. Luke Barnett, all I saw was the alert pop up on my phone that said something weird. You want to talk about how that came to fruition?
Okay, so I was talking about how I think it's a well-established fact that Fuel TV is in no one's home cable package. And Dana White actually sent out a tweet yesterday saying, hey guys, if you don't have Fuel, then go find a bar. Which, first of all, shitty, Dana, your fault. Second of all, I have to go find a bar because you can't get a legitimate package on a real network? Okay, thank you. And third, 2 of his fighters, Jimmy and Luke, basically said, hey, I don't even have Fuel. Can someone tell me the results?
Which we understand. Like, that's not an insult. Yeah. We get it. That's just part of the problem.
We understand that. So I tag both of them to Dana and say, Dana, 2 of your own fighters don't have your shitty network. So I think that's a problem. And at this point, Luke tags me back and says, Jimmy's a nerd and I'm English, so shut the fuck up. Which caught me by surprise, and it made me think. I'm like, there are only 2 reasons this happened. One, he's listened to my really shitty impression.
Obviously, he's been listening to your impression. I mean, he's...
Completely.
You guys hang out.
Obviously,
you could hang
all
out.
The time.
You could
or
possibly.
2, he just really wanted to give me shit, and I looked at it and I go, man, I'm all for taking shit, but I don't even know what to do with this.
You know, there's option 3. He's been drinking.
Probably. I mean, don't we all drink? British. But I was just kind of like, all right, well, that's another one. Add that one to the list. But I think Clint Hester has told me I have no soul. Because I questioned the fact that he got so excited in the... Now,
I'm sorry. I hate to... Did he mean soul as in, like, you're ready to sing the blues? Or did he mean literally, like, you don't have a soul at all? Like, you don't feel things?
Good question, but I will have him know I was listening to James Brown, no shit, right when I read I had no soul. So it was a very awkward dichotomy. I was like, I am listening to James Brown. I would like to think I'm listening to soul music. Godfather of soul. You can't tell anybody that. But I laughed and I was like, all right, that's cool. I mean, you have to give and get, and I totally get it because we shit on these guys pretty significantly. Which brings us
Agreed.
to our other friend. Oh, and I'll finish this. The reason why I said I was making fun of Clint is because Clint was so excited in his pre-fight moment to go up to Jimmy that he still had his tag on his hat. And I don't know if that's cool to people, but it looked ridiculous. So my joke was he was so excited he didn't have time to cut the tag off of his hat to go for the fight picture. And that was why I don't have soul. So, whatever.
Okay, well that clears up which soul he's talking about, I feel like.
I guess. But I mean, even when I look at it, I just go, really? All right, you can do that.
Nope.
I really think you can.
Sure.
On the other side, though, Adam Sella. Good Lord. Okay, so Adam Sella talks about the fact this week with Uriah Hall being a bully. And I immediately am thinking, like, have we been bullying this kid?
Adam Sella?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hope not. Only because... Are we still talking about the face thing?
Yeah. Because it was funny for a day to him, and I think the next day he was like, man, these guys are mean.
Oh, that would be... He does fight people. Maybe you and I aren't approaching it from the right mental state. I think because I assume they're professional fighters, they don't have, not a lot of words bother them. I guess I kind of make that assumption.
Honestly, my exact same assumption, because I'm like, I guarantee you, anybody's overhand right is way, way more hurtful than any shitty joke I can muster.
Or their swinging back kick. And here's more what we'll say, especially because if you and I, let us be clear, if the situation were reversed and we were enjoying semi-television stardom, and I don't say that, but it's just, it's semi-television stardom.
Sure.
It's limited. There's not going to be a second season where they get to
going.
come back as cast members.
Just keep going.
I would probably just be jacked. People were talking about me. If people were creating mimes of stupid... there would be a lot of little memes of stupid shit I was saying or doing.
I'll say this right now. I only have one criteria when people make fun of me, which is make it funny.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. But, we are comedians by trade.
Yeah,
and
we enjoy it. We enjoy the mockery and the meanness.
It's our business. So I will say this. I think the moment that really turned for me was when Uriah did bring up Adam's girlfriend. I said, that's just
I didn't get why he did it. I don't know if I tried to even rewatch it. It was just
yeah, I know.
Why did he go there? It doesn't make any sense. It was during my 17th tweet of, Uriah, are you just walking around hating people? Are you just walking around pointing people out?
Let me bring back the context. The context was, oh, that's great. You and your girlfriend went to the Red Rocks, which I thought was the Hard Rock, but let's say Red Rocks. You and your girlfriend went to Red Rocks. Oh, by the way, why are you a bitch? And yeah, you're like your girl. You're a bitch. And it was just like, what the shit happened there? Oh my God. So I don't know. That got really weird really quick.
Did they cut out Adam Sella, mocking him for 15 minutes? Maybe it's also because Adam talks a little faster than Uriah does. And when you can kind of talk circles in people, they lash out sometimes.
I guess. But the good news is, again, Adam won me back over when he did the impression of Uriah and did those roundhouse kicks a little bit right before the fight, which was really funny.
Agreed.
So anyway, Adam.
Actually, keeping Adam into our next little topic here, and we have about a minute 10 before we have to get going, topic-wise. Yeah. Wild card fights. I tweeted this out and I meant it because it seemed like the presumption was that Thor deserves a second shot or should get to fight again. I still have, and I don't know how this works if they choose one from each team, but in my eyes, Bubba and Adam Sella are actually still the two best fighters that lost so far.
Yes. I would probably say Adam's up there and Bubba's up there, but they keep saying it to everybody at the end of the fight. I feel
they do talk about it a lot.
They just keep going, oh, don't worry, at the end of this fight, you'll still be a wild card. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, yeah?
Well,
and I feel...
If anything brings Sella back to our good graces, it's that you and I both were just he did kind of take it to Uriah. I mean, he did. Yes. He pushed the action, right?
Yes.
So we both appreciated that. Speaking of pushing the action, that's my segue. That's how we go. We will obviously. Raph and I love The Ultimate Fighter, so if you're not tuning
Speaking
in,
of action, why
Tuesdays
is
at
your girlfriend
9.
a bitch, Kevin?
Tuesdays at 9, tune in, watch. It's great, and tweet the fighters. Let them know how much fun you have watching the show, because this is the best season of The Ultimate Fighter we've ever seen. It is.
We agree. It has been a lot of fun.
I've been watching a lot of them. All right, UFC on Fuel. Fuel. Nailed it. Silva versus Stan. Good fight.
Wow.
Starting with, you have to start with this. I feel like if you don't, people will get upset. We hate Fuel.
We just don't see a purpose for the network. And we've talked about it several times. It always comes to this point where we're so excited to see fights. We were actually so pissed that there was another card on Fuel that we didn't even preview it in our last podcast. And you know what? Nobody noticed or complained about it. Like, not a single person who listened to it said, like, man, you guys missed that. Because everybody's so frustrated with that network. Because when it comes down to it, you have to go to a bar. Nobody has it on their package.
And even fewer bars are actually carrying it, because even bars just don't think to put it on. Like, you have to find like a specifically pretty MMA friendly bar.
I had to call ahead just because, one, I'm that organized, and two, I just didn't want to get somewhere and have someone say, "Oh, this isn't a big one, so we're not going to, show it tonight." I called ahead and I found a great bar. We'll talk a little bit about them later, but man, it was a good moment.
Let's get right into it. Thanks for making some noise, Japan. I saw limited parts of the fight. I was stuck doing some work that I don't want to talk about.
Boo.
I know. Those people. Hey, audience, this is why we need you to tell a friend about the show. This is why we need those reviews on iTunes. This is why you should tweet this bad boy out, Verbal Tapcast, because I don't want to be beholden to another job. We got to get into this full time so we can give you the coverage you deserve. Let's start rocking.
Save Kevin Phillips.
Hashtag please. Let's talk about the fights. I got to see the
Headshot.
The what?
Headshot.
By Vanderlei Silva, knocking out Brian Stan. Raf, what did you think? You were loving this.
Yeah, this is why I was so hyped at the beginning of the show. I was so excited to talk about this fight specifically. I was excited for this fight, but I just was completely stunned how amazing it was. Both of these fighters came out of the gate just ridiculously on fire. Both of them trying to knock each other the fuck out. And honestly, I think they both got knocked out and then re-woken up by the hits 5 times throughout the fight. Like, you could count. My girlfriend was counting how many times she thought one of them got knocked out and then re-woken up by their, next hand. And it was just that kind of fight that that these guys dug deep and want to give you a great, great 5-minute round. And they did. And the second round, they're both a little tired. Wandy just came out, though. It was so cool to watch him just blow everybody's expectations and really come back to form. Because I honestly, I was rooting for him, but I had put my money on Stan last night.
I remember I took the Vandy. And I'll say this, even in when he was doing the weight, Vanderlei Silva looked in shape.
Yeah.
He looked really just ready to go this time.
I do love when I get texts from Kevin. His expert commentary when he does text me, and he's like, he's in shape. Which is the best kind of
I assumed you were in my head, which maybe it was a little too much. So, great fight. Shout out to them. You pointed this out, and I'm kind of surprised. I think Vanderlei Silva he's only 36, but looks 73 in fight years.
For serious.
He's been fighting since before it existed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He looks like... Oh, man, he does look like he's been doing this for roughly 150 years.
He has been fighting since before the word octagon was invented.
Yeah, he was never, and in Pride, like he was everyone's favorite Pride fighter, right? That's when the Axe Murderer became, just because he was a fucking violent man and still terrifying. Like he's what evil would look like.
And I was especially proud. It's one of those great moments where there is an outpour of support for Brian Stan, because even though he lost, everybody respected what a showing he had.
Yeah, and that was evident. Everybody just talked about what a great fight it was. So, nicely done, main card. Main card was huge. All right, we're going to pick it apart and comment over several other KOs and split decisions, mostly split decisions on this card. Struve versus Hunt. Hunt wins, end of round 3. Looks like he was winning the fight. Anything of note here?
First of all, this fight didn't look right, just from appearance-wise. You have a very tall Uncle Fester-looking dude versus a text, and no joke, from my buddy Rafa Agustin, who put, "I'm going for Hunt because I'm going for all the Mexicans, and I know he's not a Mexican, but he looks like a mean cholo." And that's kind of the way he fights, is...
Cholo means, for those of us that are not
It was a
familiar.
very ugly, sloppy fight, and Hunt was finding some good exchanges. And up until there, it might have been fight of the night, but it's one of those fights that you just kind of go, all right, I'm happy these guys are really trying to put on a show, but they're incapable of doing more.
Yeah, and it ends with a knockout, so you got to...
And it ended with a knockout, so you're fairly happy, even if you look at it and go, okay, to anyone ever trying to learn technique, maybe not the first example I'm going to show.
15th, 16th. Takanori Gami versus Diego Sanchez. It's a real ethnically diverse card.
Let's discuss how from here on down, I don't know how many racist comments I'm going to make.
Okay, well, warning. Hey, audience, can't say anything because we gave you a warning.
We did give you a fair warning. And really, every one of these fights was this Asian dude versus this not Asian dude who may be brown or some other minority. And I was really trying, and I'm honestly really trying to remember who these people were. But then when you have very similar names, and the only one I really know that was distinct was the dude with, like, the orange hair. Yeah. And I still didn't know his name. But Okami, I've seen him fight. We've been fans of his. But Okami versus Lombard was a little lackluster.
Yeah. I from what I saw of it, this is one I cut in and out of. A split decision. It ends. Not a lot of strikes. 37-45. Okami kind of wins with some takedowns.
Yeah, and Lombard had if I remember correctly, I think he had a good third round. That he was kind of coming back from that evened it out a little bit more. But their styles they were just really different, and it wasn't a super exciting fight.
All right. That does it for that one. Zuto Hirota versus Ronnie Yahya.
I will tell you this right now. I feel so much better about not being racist when I hear you pronounce their names.
Yeah, you're set. People, if they're offended by, they're going to be offended by that first.
Because the way that you're pronouncing it is like, Sutso Hanzatori. Good enough. I think that's it. Shut up. Goddamn fucking sound effects. This one, I wanted to credit it, and I was way too late on this, but I really wanted to tweet it out earlier. The Divine Secrets of the Yaha Sisterhood one. And it was an awkward fight. It was nothing super exciting. This dude was trying to... First of all, nobody could put away anybody with an arm triangle yesterday for the life of them.
No matter how hard they tried.
Nope, they were really trying, and this is one of those fights where a dude had full mount, was really like close with an arm triangle, to the point where I actually thought his opponent, Bishi or Mitsu, I don't know, Hirota, he looked like he had tapped, but I don't think he did. But he was holding his arm and defending it pretty well, but they couldn't close the distance on this choke, and as a result, he looked like he was getting so tired he almost got caught with like an armbar toward the end in like the third round. And I don't know if you get this way, but when someone's winning a round or a fight so defiantly and so obviously that they tire themselves out and they're about to lose, like, don't you get so angry when that happens?
A little bit, you know, because you just kind of expect that their cardio and mental is where it needs to be, but
I just look at them and they're like, no, I don't allow you to get caught with that triangle.
yeah.
No, you know better. You keep that arm. It's either 2 arms in, 2 arms out. You need to figure out what the fuck you're doing.
Make a goddamn choice with your arms. You're killing us.
Yeah, and the funny part is my girlfriend sees me as I'm watching it, just starting to lose it. And it's not like my jiu-jitsu is like amazing, but you're just like, I sat here and I watched him try for that arm triangle for 7 minutes. And I just refuse to watch that be the end. And I'm done with that.
All right, it's a little jiu-jitsu passion. Never hurt anybody.
I guess.
Okay. It's okay. We can. All right. Dong Hyun Kim versus CR Badurzada.
Yep.
23-5. Nothing much to say here. Riki Fukada versus Brad Tavares.
This is great because John Fitch was cornering, I believe, is Fukada.
Oh,
And
glad he was there.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see him in the corner and everything. But is he really somebody you want in your corner? Like, what advice is he going to give you? He's going to go, obviously,
knock him out before you get fired.
I don't know what to do here because I got fired. So you're on your own. Good luck. John Fitch out.
We'll get to some more John Fitch stuff as we start zipping around our fun MMA stories. All right, this next one's my favorite. Takeya Mizugaki over Brian Caraway.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Stop pressing fucking buttons.
See, guys? It really ruffles his feathers.
It's just
Mizugaki cried
for
15 minutes after this. I mean, he collapsed, and he just kept screaming. It's so much emotion. It's so much emotion, but it was the definition of scream crying.
Yeah.
It was great.
First of all, he falls to the ground like after they announce him winning, because it is a pretty, you know, I guess there was, since it's a split decision, there was no absolute, and I think he felt like he wasn't winning.
No, apparently.
And some people on Twitter were angry, and I mean, it wasn't a super exciting fight, so it's nothing you really get too worked up about. Which, by the way, it was one of 8 decisions on this card.
Nice job, Fuel.
Yeah. That's what you get, Fuel, for being such a stupid network.
Suck it.
And he just falls to the ground when they announce him the winner, which, okay, fine. I understand it. It's your first major fight in the UFC.
And then he ran around weeping like a schoolgirl for an additional 7 minutes.
And I get it. You have brought much honor to your family. Like, I just kept saying, I'm like, these Asians are all bringing honor to lots of their families.
I love it. I love honor.
So then he, like, walks into the crowd and is like, he, like, goes to, like, high five somebody and is like, I'm just so happy. And all I could do was I just go, you know, there is no crying in the UFC.
No.
And,
it was, he was doing some serious crying.
Yeah, it was really odd. It's that kind of cry that just makes you feel weird watching it.
Oh.
Like if somebody walked in on you watching a grown man crying, you just go, oh, I'm watching a fight. It doesn't look like a fight. It was, but now he's crying because, I don't know.
He just can't stop. I don't know. So, I assume that's what it was.
And that's how you can tell that fight is not that great, because you spent more time talking about his crying than his fighting.
Well, it was noteworthy.
Although he did win via cry.
That was the official decision. Cristiano Marcelo versus Kazuki Tokudome. It's probably Tokudame.
I just called this guy Tokyo Dome, first of all.
Yeah, nice.
And
it appears as though one more takedown was the difference in the fight. It was 33-33 on strikes.
Oh, yeah.
Not a single striking match over 50. I think that's worth note, except for this final fight Marcelo Guillermares versus Hyun Gai Lim.
Yeah, I think you jumped over the.
Oh, I did. I'm
Bruce
sorry.
Lee.
Alex
But it's okay.
Takares versus
It was an okay
Kyung
fight
Ho
as
Tae.
well. Bruce Lee went run, not a major thing. It wasn't a super great fight. Eked it out through his teeth. But yeah, the last fight, it was okay. He had a good knockout. It was I think it was like a knee. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like a jumping knee. Stop doing that.
Well, we're ending our
should-
fights.
It should be noted, though, that Brian Stan and Wanderlei Silva threw over 200 punches for a fight that only went 2 rounds.
Jesus.
That
is a lot. No takedowns, no submissions, no passes.
No.
43 to 43 strikes.
And that is why, when you look at it, the fight bonuses were Fight of the Night, obviously, Wandy and Brian Stan. Knockout of the Night was shared by Mark Hunt and Wandy, which one of those is really the winner, but sure, we're very happy that Mark Hunt gets a nice buffet, prize money kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there were no submissions, so why not? 2 fights should make money. So more power to you, Mark. Good job.
Agreed. All right, that wraps it up for UFC on Fuel, Silva versus Stan. Thank you all that were a part of the Twitter fun last night. It was hilarious to see the back and forths. And if anybody wants to reach us on Twitter, Verbal Tapcast on good old Twitter. Yep. Did you see the Hitler Dana White parody video that's now up over 15,000 views buzzing around the internet?
Did I? Now, please, give everybody a little description of what it is, because not everybody's seen this.
If you're looking for the person responsible at Funny MMA Posts on Twitter, or I'm a Pure Energy, just Google Hitler's reaction to John Fitch. It's essentially the big scene where Hitler's getting upset militaristically about strategies that are failing, but he has given it, he's basically memed it, giving it subtitles that react to him reacting to the firing of John Fitch. So it's Hitler getting upset at Dana White, pretty much. Which I know probably sounds pretty bad in description, but isn't quite as offensive as you'd think. It's
I'm
pretty
sure
well done.
if Dana wasn't the subject of it, he'd probably think it's funny.
Oh, agreed. I don't care about Dana. I was more considering people who were just like, you're using Hitler. maybe he's not quite as bad, but it's called satire, people. Come on.
And honestly, I've been done with this meme for a long time. It's not really been the thing that I was super excited to hear about, because you've seen this. Like, it's been on a lot of
this isn't
people's
the newest.
things, and they've done really funny things with it.
It's MMA specific. It's good.
But this version of it was immaculate. A funny MMA post just really hit the situation perfectly.
Yeah, so check them out. Check it out, people. Yep. We're giving it the seal of funny.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't give endorsements. We give funny, not funny. That's how we feel about things.
That is correct.
All right, this is a topic that we talked about on our first podcast, Raf. Can you believe that?
Oh, my God.
Feels like ages ago. Back when we were just a young upstart. Now we've got 13 amateur wins under us.
Before, when we were just talking with tin cans and a string.
That's how we did podcasting back in the day.
Yep.
Anderson the Spider Silva is looking to fight John Bones Jones. And of course, they're talking about doing it in New York, right? Like, all of this makes perfect sense. What do you think about this? Think it's going to happen?
I hope so, and for many reasons. There's been a lot of rumor, and we've been waiting to talk about this for a while, because we don't know if this is a for sure thing, but there's been a long history problem between MMA and New York. New York is really, really reluctant via their politicians of not having the UFC come in and, basically get some of their business that boxing and wrestling make lots of money off of.
Yeah.
And it's an untapped market that we know would be a great exposure for the UFC. And Dana's been working with it, and it's gone back and forth. It's going to happen. Every year, I feel, for the past 7 years, Dana's promised us, hey, you guys, New York's going to happen this year. And it turned out they've actually gotten a really good injuncture in their lawsuit that allows a case that may be overturned that allows them to get like a separate commission to come in and basically help. It's really boring shit. But the stuff that you should know is it is very likely that a MMA fight card can go out of there, and it would be through the UFC. And the proposed fight to celebrate it and the 20-year anniversary of the UFC this year is being talked about as a super fight between Anderson Silva and John Jones, assuming John Jones gets past Chael Sonnen.
Assuming indeed, even if he doesn't. All right, he will. He's when he gets past Chael Sonnen. All right, it gives me almost goosebumps thinking about that. Sorry, I'm excited about that.
It's a great matchup for the fans, and if we're not going to see this GSP thing and they're just going to keep teasing us with it, give us this one. We'll take it.
No kidding. No. There, listen to that. You hear how crazy people are? They're writing in about this. Time for a little Days of Our Dana. This is just a fun fact. Raf?
Yes. All right, so Dana, while on his media press tirade, made enough time out of his schedule while in California to go visit his buddy Joe Rogan's podcast. Joe Rogan has a very funny podcast of his own that lasts for 9 hours, days. I don't know how long these things. They go on very long.
They don't ever stop recording. They just cut it.
And Dana was nice enough to stop by, and they talked about a lot of things. One of them was the fact that Dana in there was saying, man, I got to make John Jones and Anderson Silva happen, or Anderson Silva GSP happen. And if you stuck around a little bit later, you overheard Dana say that he once lost $1 million at a casino. Now, I'm a gambler. I love gambling. But I've never come anywhere close to losing $1 million. Maybe because I don't have it. But that's not the point. Can you just, in your mind, can you fathom a hand of losing $1 million? Just
I've been trying. I can't do it. I honestly can't do it.
Like, could you
I've
imagine...
been thinking about this for a week.
That you've got, you're at a poker table, and you've got a pair of aces, and you go, I'm going to ride this through. $1 million. All in. It's absolutely insane to me. Now, Dana was quick to point out, though, that the most he's ever won at a table is $6 million. And now, these fat cats at the casino are cutting him off. And that is the reason why they used to have fights, and I forget the name of it. Let's call it the Palms for right now. They used to have fights over there, and now, because they've reduced his credit limit, the UFC no longer has their fight nights go out of there. And Joe Rogan, he didn't even know it. He asked Dana, he's like, is that the reason we don't go there anymore? And Dana goes, yes. Holy
shit. That's good. That's interesting. It combines my two favorite things: Vegas underwiring and MMA. that's gambling.
I mean,
huge.
I was listening as a huge gambling fan and just listened to Dana talk about spending $1 million.
Yeah, I feel like people can tell, but Raf and I are poker players and gamblers. I feel like it's obvious.
Yes. You can tell that one of us is really good at poker and the other one's named Kevin.
Yes, both things are... I'm not great, but I love it. I will lose some money at poker. You get out of my way. All right. Overeem, can you believe this, tests low after his UFC 156 loss. His testosterone results came back abnormal, which, of course, everyone's like, oh, well, yeah, steroids, look at him.
Right.
No, they were low. You think that's why he lost? Low testosterone?
I don't... Where do you even start on that one?
I don't know.
He looked a little more normal. Like, he didn't look like a gigantor beast on this one. He still looked like a big dude. Way bigger than he used to be.
Yeah, his head grew.
But it's weird to think he came in with testosterone being low. I mean, sure, whatever. Maybe that's why
he can get a sponsor, one of those testosterone boosters. GSP versus Nick Diaz. One of the posters came out. And I'll just describe the poster. It's essentially, it's like a blue. It's like the rest of their posters. Please Google it. But instead of them both being like the same size, it's Nick Diaz, Wizard of Oz style, just this huge head, with George St. Pierre dressed in jiu-jitsu clothing in a tiny, like, 1/15th the size of Nick Diaz. So it looks like he's kind of just, like, in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, right below his chin. And you were giddy when this came out, because you just sent it to me immediately. And we're like, when did Nick Diaz become a shark?
It looks like the direct-to-sequel, Redbox available sequel to Deep Blue Sea. And my girlfriend's calling the color smoke blue. And it's hysterical. I feel like it's the type of poster that, because it's so stupid, should actually have to contain the phrase, images not to scale.
You mean they did such a terrible job they should have to own a preface to it? I agree, it's awful.
And Nick Diaz's, like, ain't never scared face is awesome.
There was clearly weed involved in this decision. Like, there had to be marijuana involved. Somebody was just like,
Diaz actually had the approval of that poster.
Diaz was like, I want to look like a shark. I want to look like a fucking shark. And just so we're clear, not a literal shark. I want to metaphorically look like I'm eating him.
Yes.
Great. All right. We'll keep an eye on this. I feel like we should probably tweet that link out. We'll tweet some links out over the next few days and get people's feedback, because it's the best MMA poster I've ever seen.
Yep.
/ worst. Raf, I have a series of questions for you based off of just some MMA news and current events. Are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
This is a new segment. We'll just call it Raf's Corner for right now.
Cool.
Okay, Raf. In Canada, a Pee-wee hockey coach got 15 days in jail for tripping a kid. Sports parents getting put in jail for their actions. What do you think? Are you in favor of this or no?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You're not just thinking maybe Canada doesn't have enough crime?
Well, in Canada, that is a crime.
Yeah.
They take their hockey very seriously over there. I think it's one of those things where with parents, you might as well lock them up early. But here's the other thing. Canadians aren't mean people.
No.
So is it
Not
one of those
typically.
things where, like, they cool him off like he's in the drunk tank for a night? And they're just like, whoa, you better watch it, yay? You stay in there and you cool down.
He's going to be in there for 15 days. He got sentenced. I'm trying to think of, like, if jiu-jitsu parents, like, you can do jiu-jitsu for kids. Like, they have little kids jiu-jitsu. It'd be really funny to see what that would look like. It would just turn into a match between two black belts, I'd imagine, if the parents got upset.
So amazing if a parent, like, accidentally, quote-unquote, like, swept the kid for his kid. It's like, oops, did anybody see that? I swept the leg? No, I didn't.
I told you to secure the back. Okay, Dennis Rodman goes to North Korea, which is a topic we don't have enough time for. But my question for you, if we sent an MMA fighter as an ambassador to North Korea, who would make the best ambassador?
Without doubt, Mayhem Miller.
Without doubt. God, without doubt, Mayhem Miller. Without doubt, I like that you're so committed. Why Mayhem Miller?
I believe he is the MMA equivalent of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense then.
They both color their hair. They both are known for saying ridiculous shit and doing ridiculous shit. Both have probably done Madonna. Can't prove it. And I think that Mayhem Miller's most recent escapade of going into a church naked and beating the shit out of everything is probably a weekend for Dennis Rodman.
God, you're kind of starting to convince me. I'll just give mine anyway. I had Forrest Griffin.
Also a valid choice.
He would just say the stupidest shit. Like, can you imagine how many times he would offend everyone? I want more of Forrest Griffin on camera always. Especially when it's serious.
I do appreciate Forrest's mumbling.
Yeah.
More than any other human being. I mean, he's really self-deprecating, really funny. But I think he mumbles more than any other person I've ever heard.
Final question. Seth MacFarlane gets mixed reviews as the Oscar host. If we had to choose an MMA fighter to be the host of the Oscars, who's the best? Who you taking?
Okay, I've got two on this one.
Okay.
The first is the obvious choice. I think Chael should host, even though he's hosted like the MMA awards, but hosting the Oscars would be great. Because then he'd say really ridiculous shit, just like, hey, did everybody see that movie called Zero Dark 30? It was about that one time Anderson Silva basically beat the shit out of me for 30 minutes. But I'm just joking, people. Here are your stars. Jessica Chastain. I think that'd be funny. I think the other one, obviously.
I think he'd have some trouble announcing foreign film directors.
Oh my god, yes. Now, the winner for Best Foreign Film. Who cares? We're America. I think that's one. I think the other one, and this is just for style and class and how I think he would present, is definitely GSP.
Yeah, we're going to need an interpreter, probably.
I just like the idea of him going up and being like, the best winner of the picture was this year. It is the one with the linings that are silver. Okay.
In the manual, the silver manual linings. That's
Silver
the one.
manual linings is really funny.
I'm going to go with Josh Koscheck. I don't have much behind it other than I just don't even think people would notice because he looks like he's from Hollywood. So people would just be like, oh, it's Channing Tatum's new Channing Tatum. Okay, that's no problem.
And that is fine because I have beaten Josh Koscheck many a time. So
Josh Koscheck and GSP would be great. Oh, that's what we should do. All right. Once again, Verbal Tapcast on Twitter. Find us Verbal Tap online, the podcast. And if you're listening via iTunes, give us a 5-star, 4-star review. Let us know what's going on in the comments section.
No
please.
other stars, just 5 or 4.
Well, I want to give them options. I don't seem like I'm just pushing the tilt. And hey, tell a friend that likes MMA to listen to it. If you train, tell your training partners. We stand behind the product. We get a lot of good feedback. Yep. And we'd like to do some shout-outs, including the lovely place where Raf was able to catch the game last night.
Yes, the game.
The fights.
The Hollywood Way Bar and Grill in Burbank, California. I've been wanting to go to this place for a long time to go see a fight. Yesterday was finally the opportunity, and I was not disappointed. This place has many, many a high review from people who I know, who when I checked in there, which I did like a lame person, people actually like on my Facebook were telling me like, man, I can't believe it's taking you this long to go here. It's the place I always go to. So I was very, very pleased with that. Please give them your business. Couldn't have been nicer human beings about the way that they show a fight. And there were no douchebags, which is always a nice feeling. So props to them. Of course, my gym where I go to train, Valley Martial Arts Center, VMAC.
This Tuesday, something's going on at Flappers Comedy. I read in Gentleman's Quarterly.
Yes, you did. It is early late night, hosted by your pal here, Raf Esparza. If you like late night television or whatever, even if you don't, just come down and see it. We're a combination of improv, stand-up comedy, and a little bit of nonsense just for good measure. It is 10 p.m., Burbank, California, Flappers Comedy Club. It's a really good time, guys. And at the worst case scenario, you can come and try and heckle me, and I'll make you look stupid.
Love it. It's a good show.
But wait, don't you have something going on?
I do have something going on. The Encyclopedia Show DC at 9th and Beats. You want to come see me hosting a show in which we have some color wars. Full spectrum of color is going on.
Color wars, yes. And we're not just talking Rampage Jackson fights.
This is no Japan Rampage situation. So you can find me up on stage. It can be a good time. 9th and Beats up over at 8 o'clock on Friday. Shout out to my gym, BJJ MMA Training Academy over there in Chantilly, VA. No Concept Jiu-Jitsu up there in Maryland. And if you do run a school or go to a school or know about a school, get on BJJ Finder and enter it into that database. It's a good place where people who love Jiu-Jitsu and MMA are starting to come together. So make sure you keep an eye on that. We will be back next week with more of Raf's. Yeah, that's how you lose the word back and you just accent it out. Because, well, we have to do the Ultimate Fighter review.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think people would probably protest.
It's true.
It's the only thing I can imagine that they would do. That's it for me and anything I've got. Thanks for listening, Raf.
Yep, that's going to be the end of it for me, and we will be previewing the GSP fight when we return next week. Maybe also a couple other surprises.
Dun, dun, dun. Good night, guys.
Good night. Good fight. Boom.